All right, everybody, welcome to the Arsenal Fan Circle here, the Sunday show. Pull up a chair, and my guests will know what I'm saying here. Pull up a chair. You're all welcome. The old Irish welcome. Kevin, Liverpool fan, I've got you with me today. Thanks for joining me, Kevin.
Yeah, no problem, dude. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Right, and we're going to have Jack drop it in a little bit as well. There might be a few other panel members dropping in here, but you know what? Kevin, you might find this, you doing some podcasts, you might find the interlull coming. Sometimes people just want to break away and take that week with the family. How do you find it on your side, the Liverpool side?
I don't mind it, man. You know, for me, I how can I say this without sounding like I'm a bad family man? But I'm a really good dad. I've got a disabled son, right? So I look after him all week, and I've got a little girl that's less than 2 years old. So I've got them all week. So I've learned how to balance my life. But for me, dude, I've planned my entire life around when Liverpool play. So if there's a game that's on, like my wedding had to be put forward a couple of hours because I wanted to watch the Liverpool game after my ceremony, you know? So that'll just tell you that, you know, it's just the way it is. I've always been like that.
Definitely. A couple of things resonate with me on that one as well. Alonso, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us. We've got Kevin here, a Liverpool fan also. So we're going to get the Liverpool perspective. But Kevin, I've also got a disabled son who's got autism. And that is family first, you know. But yes, there is a movie called Fever Pitch. It's an Arsenal movie. Have you seen it?
Years ago, I think it was. Yeah, I think it was years ago. Don't ask me to recap it now, but I've seen it. Yeah, years and years ago.
No, but
Same with Football Factory. All of these ones, I've seen them all down through the years. Yeah,
there was a little snippet in the movie where he's getting with the girlfriend, and the girlfriend's like, "Why don't we go on holiday?" And he's like, "We can't do that. There's a fixture list."
Not an exact feeling.
He said, I can give you a fixture list as well, Kev. Listen, a lot of people do that. They move things, they move their life around football. It's one of the things Bill Shankly used to say as well, Kev, right? It's the most important thing of the least important things. Is that right? Am I quoting that right?
Yeah, it is. Because when you look at it this way, a lot of people spend a lot more time doing a lot of bad stuff in their spare time.
Yeah.
And you can't do any worse than sitting there and looking forward to the game every week. And it's, I'm not a religious dude by any way, shape, or form, but if I am, I probably support the Church of Liverpool. It's just, that's it, that's the kind of guy I am. But it's for me, it's a no-brainer. I enjoy the games. My family enjoy the games. For when we go over here, because I have 3 season tickets as well. So, I go over every couple of weeks, every 3 weeks or so anyway for a game minimum. So, so in between those times, I can get to do my podcast stuff. The other times, I get to spend it with family and friends watching the game. So it's good.
Nice one. Okay. Well, settle in, Kev. We'll have a little discussion about Arsenal and Liverpool, where we are in our seasons. Alonso, thank you for joining today. And we're going to have a good one today, Alonso.
Good.
All right, let's get through a few comments here and then we'll get into it. BX Gunner here. Good afternoon, everyone. And Jack will be joining us a little bit later. Big up, lads. Apologize I couldn't make it tonight. Stuck in massive traffic on way home from dropping a niece off. But Kev is a top lad. Hope you lads are all well. That sounds like Jack may not be joining us today, depending on the traffic. But we'll take care of it from here. So, Kev, tell me about your season. Been going through your results, and there's some similarities to Arsenal. We both lost a game that we probably shouldn't have lost.
Yeah. Don't get me started on that, man.
The loss. We feel as bad about our loss as you feel as bad about your loss. So tell me about that, Kev.
Yeah, look, we've had a better start than most Liverpool fans envisaged, especially after the debacle that was last season. And, that midfield was done last season. It got us through. I mean, we were probably lucky to make Europa League standards, and we almost made it the Champions League in the end of it. But
Yes.
we were lucky to make Europa League standards with the standard that we had in the midfield last season. I mean, Stefan Bajcetic, he was an unknown for Liverpool, steps in and becomes probably our best midfielder last season. You know,
Mhm.
Thiago's constantly injured. Fabinho's legs are gone. Henderson's legs were gone. Henderson just couldn't help but pass backwards all the time. And then you bring in guys like McAllister, who's had to play completely out of position, by the way. And he's still doing somewhat of a really good job. His passing is phenomenal through the middle of the park. You know, he cuts teams open pretty easily. And then you've got, Dominic Sabosna, who has been a revelation for Liverpool this season, really. And I'm thinking the more freedom he's given, the more damage he can cause in a way. Gravenberch has done extremely well since he's come on. And Curtis Jones has stepped up 40 levels above where he used to be for Liverpool. So I'm happy. We added number 6 to that, and I think we're good to go.
Yeah. Yeah, Alonso, talk about Arsenal's midfield just to counter what Kev's talking about with his midfield, you know?
Yeah, I think we've had some injuries. We kind of hope that Partey would be a good backup for us. If not, put Rice and Partey in the middle in the middle of the middle pivot, and have Odegaard be number 10. Unfortunately, it hasn't worked out that way because Partey can go to Ghana and not have an injury, but all of a sudden he's injured at Arsenal, right? So, and then we're using Jorginho, which to him, you have one great game and then 2 bad games, so he's very inconsistent at times. And then you have Rice, which just signed, and he's been everything as advertised.
Yep.
And then you have Odegaard, who has been world class for us since they've been here. Sure, there have been some growing pains, but with a new system and new format, new player, new league, but he's come into his own at Arsenal, and he too has been every bit as advertised. I remember at the hype he's come out, whenever Madrid signed him as a youngster, they didn't know what to expect, and when he came to Arsenal on loan, it seems like you were getting a player that was still an unknown to us,
Mm-hmm.
but really has come in to become a world-class player under Arteta. So, yeah, there's a lot of similarities to the midfield as far as buying new players, and also have Kai Havertz, and so far he hasn't worked out, but I'm not giving up on him just yet.
Yeah.
I think there's the best from Kai Havertz is yet to come. Unfortunately, it's taking longer than expected. Though I think some supporters will see him as a striker, or want to see him as a striker to see if he can do a better job there. But I don't know. I think you're seeing a lot of people out of position as well. If you want to compare to midfields at Arsenal and Liverpool, you're seeing players not necessarily in their best position at midfield, but you're seeing them evolved into something else, doing different parts. So there's a lot of similarities, but then there's a lot of differences as well.
Yeah, definitely. And Kev, we're going to do a little bit of, I think you'd value what we see in Liverpool. We might have a slightly different perspective, albeit not as close a perspective as you would have, and we may value what you have to say about Arsenal. And since we're talking about midfield, I'll just reiterate some of the things that Alonso said and some of the things you said, Kev. What we see at Liverpool is you've had to regenerate that midfield almost over the summer itself, because of the issues with Thiago. You brought in McAllister. It was a great bit of business early doors. And then Szoboszlai, who's just been probably one of your better players, again, looking from the outside in. And rightly or wrongly, I think Szoboszlai is being compared to Mount at Manchester United and Kai Havertz at Arsenal. And maybe that's
I wouldn't compare those. I think they're different types of players.
in terms of the
Maybe
business.
Mount and Havertz could be something similar, but because both of those are kind of more to the left hand side kind of players. But
yeah,
I think so. Obviously, he's always been a right attacking mid, right winger that can play across that way. In comparison, if I was to think like Odegaard, I like Odegaard for Arsenal. I think he's a fantastic player. Also a Liverpool fan, so of course he's going to be a good player. But like at the same time, but look, he's been brilliant for Arsenal. He's been a breath of fresh air. He's been dominating midfield for you since he came in. I'm actually going to the Liverpool Arsenal game in a few weeks. When we're over there, I'll be at that game. I'll be doing a vlog at it. And I can see firsthand because the last time I was at a Liverpool Arsenal game, it was 3-3 at Anfield when Bobby Firmino got that worldie from outside the box, and Joe Allen equalised in the last couple of minutes or so. At that time, it was on. Yeah, it was a great game. That was the last Arsenal game that I was at. So I've seen the comparisons. I love what Saka does for you. I think he's fantastic. I think me and Jack are both in agreement that if Salah was ever to leave, I think Liverpool would go all out for somebody like Saka or somebody of that ilk. Maybe not him per se exactly, because I mean he's an Arsenal player.
Yeah.
But it's if we're going similarities though about the people that have been brought in the summer, I can understand where you're going. Actually, Jack just said it there about price tag wise. I get that. But when you look at the value that's been put on Szoboszlai in comparison to Kai Havertz and in comparison to Mason Mount, the two of them guys, there's no comparison. I mean,
that's where I was going with it. That's where I was going with it, Kev. That you're sort of out of three, Liverpool's got the best end of the deal out of those so far.
And out of nowhere, nobody was expecting Szoboszlai to come to Liverpool.
Yeah,
so that's the only thing about that. He came out of left field for me, and and it's been the best surprise of the summer for me. That way. I mean, once McAllister gets that freedom on the left, I think Gravenberch is going to give McAllister a very hard time to hold on to his position on the left hand side of that attacking midfield, really. And I also think that in a way they'll complement each other. So I think that Szoboszlai is going to need rest sometimes, and if he does, it's brilliant to be able to bring on Gravenberch and also have Curtis Jones there to give McAllister a rest. I do believe we do need at least whether it's an out and out number 6. I do believe we need some sort of box-to-box defensive type midfielder that can pass. At least somebody who can throw in a few tackles. Paulinho was probably one of my favourites to sign in the summer, but he was going to Germany and that fell through. Yeah. But no way at his age would Liverpool play 60 or 70 million for him. Not a chance. But I think it's we'll exactly see where we are come up to that game, because we've got Manchester City next. There's games with Fulham and the likes of that in between, and I'll be at in a row. I'll be at the West Ham game and the Arsenal game, so I'm over there for 2 games. But we'll soon see, because West Ham had a very good start to the season, by the way, and they had a very good start, and we kind of stopped them in their tracks. I was at that game, and we stopped them in their tracks, and Curtis Jones was a revelation in that game, but he hasn't seen much football since. But coming around that time, we've got Manchester United and Arsenal in a row in that week. And we'll soon see where we are. So by the end of it, we'll see where both teams really are for at least a halfway point. But we do tend to go on to have good second halves of the season, So
I think that's something that Manchester City have perfected to a fine art, and Liverpool too. Arsenal I think Arsenal are building to that place, Kevin, where we're sort of. I don't think we've hit full gear, and I think it's a very conscious effort under Arteta to do that and be more secure in midfield and at the back. And we're not as prolific as we were last season. And then, of course, we have some controversies in certain positions. But we'll have a discussion as well about a combined 11 where we'll fight it out for a few positions. You know how it goes when it comes to combined 11, so definitely a discussion when it comes to it in about 45 minutes from now. If you're good for about an hour and a half, Kevin, more.
I'm good for an hour and a bit.
Okay. So we'll have a healthy discussion about that right 8 positions, Szoboszlai versus Odegaard. Don't tell me just now, but think about it, and all of the other positions on the field. We'll do a combined 11. Where we are in our midfield, as you may know, Granit Xhaka has moved to Germany, who was very good for us last season. We finally cracked the cheat code on Granit Xhaka last season. got the best out of him in that forward position. And we've been kind of struggling to fill that left 8 position. And of course, as Alonso said, Thomas Partey is not a player now that we can rely on consistently. A very, very good player on his day, probably one of the best players in the league on his day, but you cannot rely on inconsistency when you're trying to play 38 games in the league, So I'll go to Alonso first. Midfield, who wins midfield, Liverpool or Arsenal, Alonso? In your opinion, and of course we'll all have opinions on this. Who's got the better midfield right now?
Oh, the Arsenal fan in me says Arsenal, but until Kai Havertz either moves positions or starts to integrate himself on the team, right now it's Liverpool. Only because Odegaard hasn't really been full on Odegaard from last season, and the only person I think gives us a go at midfield right now is Declan Rice. Without Declan Rice, we'd be another crap midfield because he's junior right now and he's past his prime. And you see him being mistake prone as well especially with the untimely pass against Tottenham. Though he's a good backup.
Yeah.
Backups are hard to come by nowadays. So he's doing okay. But like I said before, I think injuries have hurt Arsenal in the midfield this year, especially whenever Partey came with so much hype from Atletico Madrid there. And I would give the slight edge to Liverpool. Just the recent signings they made to get McAllister and Szoboszlai. Is that how you say it?
Yeah, Szoboszlai.
Right. So it's good that Liverpool made those signings because, in my opinion, we do miss Granit Xhaka, especially given the fact that he played so well. I guess for the last 2 years, he started coming into his own.
He did.
So in a way, yeah, I think give and take, I give a slight edge to Liverpool.
Yeah, listen, I have to agree with that, Alonso. And Kevin being our host as well, we will relent a little bit, a tiny little bit in midfield. I think, Kevin, you're a little bit stronger than us overall in midfield, especially when we can't put Partey on the field,
Yeah, the only reason I'm saying because I like Declan Rice. I like what he did at West Ham, but I just haven't seen it for Arsenal yet, in my opinion. So, and I think he will come good. And this, but for some reason I couldn't keep Odegaard out of a midfield in a combined 11. I just think he's too good to not be in there. So because of our setup within our team in the midfield, and because it's so open, and only because Gravenberch hasn't started enough games yet. For me, if we're having this conversation in another 5 months' time, Gravenberch is in there straight away. But if I was talking about a combined 11 with a midfield in there, I'd be saying probably Szoboszlai. I'd be saying Szoboszlai. I could say Rice.
Well,
I can't.
Szoboszlai would be a right 8, right?
Yeah.
So he would be directly up against Odegaard.
I know, but I would still kind of move one of those people over a position.
Oh, you're one of those that wants to move players around just to fit him in.
Yeah, especially if it's Odegaard, because I think he's a fantastic player. So I would try and give him I would say, who is he better than elsewhere in the midfield? But if we're going position to position, I would have to say Szoboszlai.
We do have to go position to position.
And okay.
You'll get us in other areas of the midfield as well. Probably the left 8 position for you.
Yeah. So I think it'd have to be Szoboszlai, Rice then, and because we don't really have a number 6, even though McAllister is good, he's not number 6. If he's playing that left side of midfield, maybe, but he's not.
Who plays left 8 for you on the regular?
We have a choice. We're between Gravenberch and Curtis Jones. Also, Harvey Elliott plays there. Thiago plays there when he's fit.
Well, listen. We can probably slip Szoboszlai in there on the left 8 then. We'll do that.
Yeah, you could do that. Yeah, you put Szoboszlai in there. I'd still. I don't know if I was taking a choice though, just because of the way the season is starting. I would still have because of the way he's been really good for us. I would still have Gravenberch over Rice. The only Arsenal midfielder I would probably take in there is Odegaard at the moment, just because of how good everybody else has been around him.
I will tell you, Rice is a hell of a player. You just
Great player. Yeah, great.
You just haven't been exposed to it yet, and hopefully you see it on December 23rd.
Yeah.
Up close.
No, actually, no, I don't want to see that.
But it will be tough up at Anfield. We had obviously that epic game in the springtime 2-2, where Ramsdale was amazing. Let's go to Ramsdale in a second for your perspective on that, Kev. What's going on in Arsenal with goalkeepers? But Jack, as Alonso has said, Kai Havertz is probably best in the number 9 position. He's struggling a little bit at that left 8. Kevin, what do you make of the goalkeeper? What do you make of the goalkeeper situation at Arsenal?
I don't know. I mean, Ramsdale's saying a lot of weird stuff at the moment, isn't he? Like, you know, he's lapse of concentration is elsewhere, and he said he just does these things so that the time passes and he can get the half time and then full time and whatever. And that kind of, if it's personal for me and a friend of mine, because you were saying that your son's is autistic, or just say, but our neighbour's son is autistic. My son has special needs, and I've noticed that in these children as well, that they kind of, their mind is not on the main task at hand, but on everything else. Yeah. And it kind of reminds me that he's just not fully in the game, and he reminds me of a guy that maybe kind of like similar to the Irish player that came out recently as having autism. What was his name?
Not sure now.
Oh God, he's James McLean. He's about to have his last game for Ireland.
Okay.
So, he was diagnosed with autism recently, and I was thinking that there's a lot more players that you don't really realize in the game that has it. And types of Asperger's and things like that, you know. So I'm saying, if he's saying stuff like that live and people are looking at him kind of going, why? That's not just, what is he talking about? It just makes no sense or whatever like that. Yeah. Then they're looking back over extra interviews, and they're saying that maybe, you know, you could have a similar kind of thinking process along the lines of James McLean. But anyway, outside that, I don't know what he's doing when he's speaking like this. I don't know what he's like. He did well for you last season, you know, for the most part. And then you bring in Raya, and maybe that's kind of, maybe he hasn't just matured enough to deal with the process yet. You know, there's a number of scenarios for me that I can't explain why Ramsdale is doing what he's doing.
Let me ask you one question then. If you have an opportunity, if you're Jurgen Klopp and you have an opportunity to bring in a player who's going to increase the level in your squad, let's say a goalkeeper, but the differences are very, very minute. How do you think you should do that? You know what I mean? And create that controversy where Alisson's no longer your first choice goalkeeper.
No, I mean that's why you promote through the ranks. If Ramsdale is good enough to do the job at the moment, and you've brought, like, Arsenal have always been known for having a good youth system coming through, you know, and bringing through young players and promoting them to the team. Yeah. I don't understand why they didn't do that. I mean, they pretty much left Martinez on the bench for the longest time, you know, and you've seen how emotional he was when he finally got to play in an Arsenal shirt, and then ended up moving to Villa and winning the World Cup, you know. By the way, that's a goalkeeper I can't stand. I'll be honest with you. Ever since that moment, I thought that was really heartfelt and he was lovely and all of that. Ever since, the dude has just been a jackass.
Yeah, so, you know, he's had not much love for Arsenal really either.
Yeah, I don't rate him. Some of the stuff he was doing with his gestures in the World Cup final with his hands and all of this, grabbing himself in the privates and doing all of that, and then I'm just like, what are you doing, man? Have a bit more decorum, you know. Yeah. And you know, so that kind of did it for me. But look, Ramsdale's a good goalkeeper. He's earned his place coming up there. A lot of people said because he went down with Sheffield, you know,
United,
that he shouldn't have been brought into Arsenal, but then look at the season he helped them to have last season. And, you know, regardless, like, the thing is, I've always noticed Arsenal fans are slightly fickle when you see them online, when you see them talking. If there's a mistake, that's it. They hate the person. That's it, you know. The majority of these guys you see talking online, they hate him. Oh, get him out of my club, this and that, you know. Alisson Becker is probably the best goalkeeper in the world right now, and he makes mistakes.
Yeah,
you know, so it's just, there's nobody that's flawless in goal. It's just it just has to be done. He has to be given more time. He needs to make that spot his own. Raya coming in, I think he's more accident prone than Ramsdale, to be honest with you. Yeah. So, but
Yeah.
I prefer Ramsdale in there all day as a goalkeeper, just for what he does, how vocal he is in the back line, and as long as he doesn't keep going on about being distracted in goal and arguing with people in the stands, I think he can keep his concentration.
Yeah, I think every professional player has these parts in games where they're not completely tuned in. You know what I mean? But you don't go on podcasts and talk about it. You don't put it out there when your position is in peril as well in the first team.
Yeah, especially if he's not having like a mental health breakdown or something. If he's conscious of what he's saying and there's nothing really wrong with him, then there's no point in saying it.
I think Alonso. I think some of the issue with Aaron Ramsdale is that he's just sometimes too honest for his own good. Alonso, you know what I mean? He speaks his mind too much.
Yeah, I mean, jeez. You want a second, Ray? Yeah, I mean, for me, it's really a shame because I think some Arsenal fans really like Ramsdale, but I think in a way, he's caused his own demise, which is kind of unfair. And having his dad around, that's going to be on a certain podcast that kind of hurt his value to the club, to be honest. But I do favor Ramsdale. I think that his story is pretty cool. I think coming from Sheffield United and coming to a bigger club like Arsenal and helping us get the Champions League kind of validates why he should be on Arsenal. Though I think whenever it came out for me that Arteta was in for Raya, we were all confused. I was confused because you saw off Matt Turner to Norman Forest, and you rather prefer David Raya be a backup, or so we thought, right? But then the bits of it came out that Arteta wants him to be number one goalkeeper. Well, you basically bench your starting goalkeeper who helped you get Champions League football, who's on the England side, and then you say, well, he's not good enough. Well, we've seen glimpses of Raya's mistakes as well, and it's kind of hard to compare because it's kind of hard to compare their mistakes that they've made, which kind of thinks that Arteta should start Raya over Ramsdale, but it's kind of a hard conversation to have if you're an Arsenal supporter.
It really is,
because you want to root for Ramsdale even more so now because of what he's been through. But then again, how do you overcome that? Seeing how your dad basically made you look like a fool on a podcast, and not helping your cause. So it's tough. To be honest.
No, you're definitely right, Alonso. So the situation with the Arsenal goalkeepers, Arteta has brought the situation about, but I think the media has amplified the whole thing. Probably Arteta does some things to be. I don't know why he does them as well. He's trying to improve the squad. Kevin, I think it's a symptom, and you may know a little bit about this as well. We were in pole position last year, in a very good position come February, April time, very good position to go ahead. But that juggernaut called Manchester City chased us down, and we were the objects of our own downfall in the end. The pressure got to us. I think Arteta's come back this season more determined than ever to not let that happen. And we're seeing it play out in the goalkeeping position. What do you see in reference to what happened to Liverpool? You got high 90s one time and didn't win the league, but you came back the next year and took the disappointment of that season and turned it into a positive
catalyst.
Following season. Yeah.
Look, for me, it's I love him or hate him. Arteta's it's a weird situation for me. I think he's a bit of a Fruit Loop. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think, look, he's got the right ideas. He's learned from Pep. He's learned good things from that. I think some of the stuff he says is in the right area, in the right zone and stuff. And then 20% of what he says comes out of completely left field, and it's as woke as anything ever gets. And I'm like, why? We don't need to talk about this in football. We don't need to bring any of that stuff in. Just do the job. And then you watch the behind the scenes stuff on the documentary with Arsenal. That one on what's it called?
All or Nothing.
All or Nothing, yeah. So you see all of that stuff, and then and you see some of the good aspects of where Arsenal were going, and then you see the reason why Arteta can be self-destructive sometimes with his own overthinking, and he's panicking and stuff like that. So the goalkeeper situation was just kind of like kind of similar, like for that situation for me is very, very similar. He's just saying one of them was sure to come good, and he's you just bought a similar goalkeeper in a similar range. Look, Rice is an astute buy fee.
Yep.
A lot of money on a midfielder playing in a West Ham team that's a rugged team, but when you have a team like Arsenal, which is more tiki-taka, let's say, than your average hard tackling, hard defending type team, then it's a different step up for him. He's got to do less in the game, but it makes him overthink, I think, Rice, when it comes to scenarios like that. He's guilty of what I call is the Joe Gomez syndrome, where all of a sudden he'll make a fantastic get back, win the ball back, do everything brilliantly, get the ball, and as he's playing the ball out, this is a couple of seasons ago, by the way, he would just pass it to the opposition and they would probably just go and score, and because he's still thinking, he just did a great thing. So with Rice, he's had too much time now to think so far in an Arsenal shirt that maybe he's looking for more to do and getting distracted with just the basis of the job. Because Arsenal are going to have a lot of the possession in comparison to playing at West Ham.
Yeah.
You have to do a lot of defending, a lot of movement, a lot of your mind could never turn off. When you're in an Arsenal shirt and it's easier, you coast it. He's a professional footballer, should be able to do it, but I just think that you haven't seen his full effectiveness in an Arsenal shirt because they don't have to defend as much. Maybe you'll see it against, you did well against Man City, which is great, and maybe you'll see it against these kind of sides. I'm thinking Chelsea's surprising me at the moment with how they've completely gone from being crap to now actually getting points and getting the job done.
I did want to mention Chelsea a little bit as well. I will say that you don't see Rice as much in this Arsenal team as you would have seen him in that West Ham team, but if you look for it closely, you will see the 3 or 4 key interceptions that he makes, and he's stopping attacks going that way and starting them going the other way. You know what I mean? So
he's learning that trade, isn't he? He's learning how to intercept more than to have to tackle more and get into position more. Yeah.
And he scored a couple of vital goals for us. One of them at Chelsea, a game we did not deserve to win, I will say. But that Rice goal woke us up and got us going. What was the Brighton game like for you? Because we've lost games to the referees. We've lost the game each to the referees, and we've each drawn 3 games. Has there been any of the drawn games? And you'll know the ones, right? Brighton, Luton Town, and Chelsea. Is there any of those you feel you should have won? You know what I mean?
By the end of Chelsea, I thought we should have won it, but I just thought that it was a fair result that because Reece James and Sterling, did a great job of giving Andy Robertson an absolute nightmare on our left-hand side and their right-hand side.
Yeah.
So, that was the start of a season thing. I don't know. Luton Town, I thought we should have just walked that. To be honest with you, I did. Yeah. They played well. We just, no matter what we did, we overthought everything in that game, and it went against us. Same with the Toulouse game.
Yeah.
Brighton's always a tough one for me, man.
Yes, it is. That's not a bad result. A draw at Brighton is not a bad result at all.
It isn't, but when we got the lead, you shouldn't be allowing them back into it.
You want it.
Yeah, we should have got the points in that, I think. But look, there's woulda, shoulda, coulda all season long for teams that in these games. I always said it around that time of year when we get these results, especially the Luton result. I remember a time when we drew with Hull, went on to win the league. We drew with Crystal Palace, drew with a really bad Spurs team at that time. Lost, I think, a couple of weeks later to Crystal Palace in the cup, and all in this period, and then still went on to win the Champions League and trophies galore after that. So you'll always have your blips in certain parts of the season for games, and I just think you just drive on from there. I think City and Liverpool have mastered how to win a second half of a season, and I think as soon as other teams start catching up with that a bit, I think it's going to become a bit more competitive.
That's a step that Arsenal needs to take as well.
Yeah,
this season as well, Gavin. Listen, the 2-2 draw with Chelsea, I mentioned we should have lost that game. Declan Rice brought us back into it. We got away with a 2-2 draw at Chelsea. Tottenham, Alonso referenced Jorginho giving the ball away. We had Tottenham, and we gave them 2 chances. They scored 2 goals. I'm kind of enjoying the Tottenham fall from grace now.
It says you are.
The last couple, they were top of the table 2 weeks ago, and now they're 4th. And I actually see them as below 6th in the league when the league ends. I don't know where you are on that one. And then
it depends on injuries.
And then Fulham is a game it happens. You're 2-1 up. And we made the wrong substitution. We brought in, I think, a midfielder when we should have brought on a defender. And we got caught out by – well, you're right, Kevin. You lose. You draw some games you didn't want to, and you get some points where it all happens in the season as well.
It's important beating the big boys in this kind of league, because they're 6-pointers all day,
Yep.
So that's the kind of games you really want to win, and just to make sure there's not too many draws. It's all right taking 1 or 2 losses a season. They don't do the damage. It's the 7 or 8 draws that do the damage.
Yeah. Chelsea, you drew with Chelsea 1-1. I think that started your season up nicely, to be honest. You didn't know what Chelsea was going to be first game of the season. We've drawn with Chelsea there as well, 2-2. And Man City have drawn with Chelsea 2-2.
I think that we've seen Liverpool's seen the Chelsea that we're seeing now at the start of the season, and I think that same Chelsea just dropped off for a load of games.
Okay.
And then came back in the last 3 games again. So excuse me, I think my kids are outside the door. But I think the Chelsea that we saw at the start of the season. Maybe not at peak, because it was our first game as well, and Chelsea away is a tough game, but I think we saw a very similar Chelsea then than what we're seeing now. I think everything else in between was just them just not getting what they were doing. They tried it at the start, and then I think they went back to the same formula of how they played us, and it's working for them again. So
Are they a team that get up for the big? Do they get up for the big teams that are not consistent against the mid-table lower teams? Is that
I would call them Liverpool of the 1990s, late 1990s, that kind of way, where we would beat everybody else that was big around us, and then probably lose to Charlton, or that kind of thing. So very, very similar is what I would say. Yeah.
Interesting. Stephen here, the Arsenal Misfit, said, for me, because there's not much difference, it's a waste of valuable money. We need to fix our real issues. To pay for Raya and get a new backup will cost 40 million minimum. So, if Ramsdale does move on, we should get around about 35-40 million easily for him. And that's probably where we're going to be. We're at 27 million commitment to Raya with the 3 million loan. So it looks like Arteta's all in with Raya. Stephen goes on to say, also in all 4 games where we were under pressure, Raya was awful. He cost us 4 points and 3 Champions League points with his mistakes. Yeah, I mean, if you're being super critical, he could have stopped that Newcastle controversy just by tipping the ball or catching it in some way, shape, or form. But these things happen. That's why they play the game, Kevin.
It'll also show Ramsdale's mentality of what kind of footballer he's going to be going forward. If he decides, no, they brought in Raya, I want to leave. If he does that straight away, then he's not really in it for the competition. He's just expecting to get whatever he wants, and he'll end up at, I don't know.
There's a little bit of a worry there, Kevin, because Kanya used to be the Brentford goalkeeping coach, and he moved to Arsenal. Arsenal were interested in Raya 2 seasons ago when Brentford came up. So there's a little bit of a history there that is hard to, if you're Aaron Ramsdale, it's hard to overcome that history or look at it and overlook it, you know. Jumping into let's start with your defense.
Okay.
What's your feeling on Liverpool's back four or your defense?
I think that I think, to be honest with you, I think that Virgil van Dijk has completely reinvigorated himself. He is back to some of the best I've ever seen him play. He's intercepting balls again. He's beating players to it. And a lot of people were talking about Van Dijk about being finished and about being that over the last couple of seasons, but I've been saying it from day one. And I guarantee you, anybody can go back and watch. All of our videos are still up. I've said it. I said Van Dijk took that injury off of what's his name in goal. He's only got little arms. Pickford. He's only got little arms. Sorry, there's no oxygen in this room, so sometimes I forget names. He's only got little arms, you know. And he took that injury off of him, came back after that. No sooner did he come back that he let to develop himself again, right? Because those injuries don't take time. The injury itself might be healed, but the tissue surrounding it, the strength and muscle build-up, that still takes a lot longer than that.
And it's psychological as well, Kevin.
Yeah, it is. And then he had to play. He came back, played one of the longest seasons you're ever going to play in history in an almost quad-winning season. We played the most. Yeah, we played the most games in Premier League history of any side ever.
Yeah, he went to the end and everything. Yeah.
Every single game, every single final, every single placement. And then he still had to come back the next season when we had a bad season, play a World Cup with still getting a recurrence of the little niggly injury. And then, you know, he started becoming good again near the second half of the season. And we could see that glimpses of him were coming back. But I think when you look at that, in those 2 seasons alone, Liverpool, from the long season to the one before the World Cup, he only had a 3-week and 1-day turnover in a break from June until July. Whereas all the other teams, maybe not Chelsea, they were there till the end of May, but all the other sides that were involved in the league gameplay or anything like that, they were all finished in May, had the full 2 to 3 months off. I mean, even Manchester City last season didn't get back until, I think it was the last week of July, and they played 1 game before playing us in the Charity Shield, and we were their second game. So it just goes to show you that the guys had a massive turnover, even though we beat Man City in that Charity Shield. It was because we were still in the same fitness form, finishing the season that when we started, and we had no way to or no means to improve or rest the body. So it just caught up with us, and everybody was getting fatigued, and more injuries are creeping in. Matip was barely seen. Konate was picking up these niggles. Jota was out for 4 or 5 months of the season. Thiago was gone for 5 months of the season. At that stage, but that was the longest he was gone. And we lost Van Dijk again for a couple of seasons. So I think this break, giving us that time off in this window just gone, has reinvigorated the side and refreshed the ideals that and the mental fatigue that they were feeling. Because as everybody knows, if you've got mental fatigue, you're definitely getting physical fatigue. So I think Virgil van Dijk is back to his best. Alisson is a world-class goalkeeper. It's unfortunate with the Andy Robertson injury, but Tsimikas in the last 2 games has played well. Before that, not so much. But he's actually looked like the Tsimikas that we bought first day in the last 2 games. And Trent is a midfielder playing right back, who's got a phenomenal right foot and can still do the job. So it's just where it is. It's Liverpool know what they're doing with these guys in there when somebody else has to step in there. But also I have to give a shout out to Joe Gomez, who's been fantastic this season, and Gerald Kwanzaa, who's been outstanding coming in and deputising, along with Joel Matip, obviously.
Let me, Alonso, we have, Kevin just mentioned the fullback, who's basically a midfielder, and we know about that, right? We have a Ukrainian midfielder playing left back, Alonso.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been quite critical of Zinchenko on several podcasts, and to me, I think what my issue is that he makes Gabriel Magalhaes look awful at times because you know with Gabriel Magalhaes having to focus more so on two players basically. The left wing and or the striker, whenever Zinchenko is messing around, trying to do tricks and getting bullied on the ball. Say on point, the game against Liverpool, I think it was last spring, that Gabriel Magalhaes has to defend both Firmino and or Salah because Zinchenko is having a hard time losing the ball. And Salah scores, and it's very frustrating because there's players in there. It's just a matter of them working it out, and Magalhaes not being able to defend because he's too focused having to defend two players. Moving forward, Zinchenko is pretty good. It's just defensively, he has liabilities, and it's cost us. The past two games, he's been okay. He's improved as defender, and hopefully we'll see the best defensively moving forward. But there's liabilities there.
Yeah, definitely. Jack, I'll bring you up to speed. We're comparing Liverpool and Arsenal. We've concluded your midfield is slightly better than ours, which is fine. We've concluded you have a much better goalkeeper than either one of our two.
Yeah. Luckily, it's been a while. Me and Kev, we know what too well about having some shocking goalkeepers in the past, mate. But
found the good one. You keep him. Keep him happy.
Yeah, and it doesn't when the Dars aren't going on podcasts and outing them anyway, don't it? It's what's your thoughts on that, Ray? Anyway, it's about
listen. I don't think he should be going on talking about a professional, his son as a professional footballer who's already fighting to get back into the first team. Not only with his club, but his country as well. He's trying. We have the Euros coming up right now, next summer. Well, if he ever had an opportunity, and Southgate is one of the most loyal managers you're ever going to find out there, he still plays with Harry Maguire, and I don't know if Henderson is still getting games. If I'm wrong, with
probably
that,
yes. I think he went to Saudi, but yes,
he keeps picking Pickford when Pickford's in relegation fights now. Pickford's getting a lot of practice, let's say. With Everton.
Make it a great championship one next season.
And the good and bad of being a better team is that Ramsdale has less work to do, and the concentration's got to be there when the time comes. But yeah, I'm in favor of Arteta. If he picks Raya, I'm going to go with Raya, and Ramsdale just has to be better and work on the things that he needs to work on. So.
Yeah, and apologies, Ray. I'm just about 50 minutes late here, but a massive thank you for Kev for jumping on, saving my bacon anyway tonight. Oh, tonight he's on mute. He's doing me.
You're on mute now.
It's all right, Ray. It's all right. You got the better looking half of the duo anyway.
Irishmen.
Just got a haircut done.
Irishmen always get along, Jack. So it's never going to be a problem.
Good.
Even a Cork man and a Kildare man, and Kevin might know, the Kildare Gaelic team 20, 30 years ago took a couple of Cork players, and we did okay. Back then. Yeah. But that's Gaelic football. So, Jack, we're doing kind of a combined 11 here. You're going to have Allison. You're going to have Virgil van Dijk. We on this side are going to fight for Saliba as our right center back. Any arguments there? From either one of you two?
Oh,
come on!
Well, we have to think
you don't even have to think about it.
It's. I love
William
Saliba.
Saliba. Come on!
Yeah, he is a top top ball.
I'll tell you why I give him the right centre back, Jack, because I can guarantee you right now nobody's getting in from the Arsenal team in that front line. Because I can't put Saka anywhere else. It's either Saka versus Salah, and Salah is killing it.
Yes,
So
I'll give you Salah. I will give you Salah for sure.
Yeah.
But I'm squeezing one in there, Kev, up front.
Okay.
I'd say if Saliba played for us, Kev, he'd probably win the league.
Oh yeah.
He'd be that good.
I'm telling you, the combined team that we put together today, it might be 6, it might be 5, either way, but it would probably beat City to the title. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Does Saliba get ahead of Canate currently in the French sides?
That's not our discussion right now.
No, it doesn't matter now. I just think because Canate, the only reason I would give Saliba the spot is because we've been rotating Matip, Joe Gomez, and Canate a lot, where Saliba has been constant.
Virgil van Dijk and Saliba together. Come on. You can't beat that. All right.
Yeah, it's a good shout. I'll give you that.
All right. Now I'm going to give you Trent at right back.
Yeah.
If
we're playing this team as our fullbacks go forward and we're not doing Sam Allardyce Brexit football where we're sitting behind the ball relying on our fullbacks to defend, then I'll go Trent.
Okay. Yeah. Alonso, you okay with that? We've got Saliba in the combined 11 and Trent at right back.
I mean, I think, Ben White has done a solid job for Arsenal.
Yes.
Especially playing opposition like Alexander-Arnold. But, I think Alexander-Arnold is very talented. He's got a good free kick on him as well. But I like Ben White, man. He's a great player for Arsenal. He's a great right back, and I think the way he's set in there and that Saliba be center back takes a lot of pride, a lot of balls too. So I'll say Ben White.
Okay.
I like Ben White as well. I just think it's not his position. I haven't seen him there enough.
Where's Tomiyasu, boys?
He's my left back. Jack, he's my left back.
Yeah, I love Tomiyasu anyways.
All right, we're putting Tomiyasu in then 3-1 here. Even Kev hasn't voted yet. Who would you put up against Tomiyasu at left back?
Robbo. It's got to be Robbo, isn't it?
Yeah. Robbo by a country mile, yeah.
He's been the best left back in the last 5-6 year period.
Yeah.
I'd say. And when Robbo has a bad game, the whole footballing world jumps on his back going, it's like, bloody hell. Like, if there's a performance dip in Robbo, he's guaranteed in his Liverpool career as of late. Yeah, it was a bad season for him and the whole team. But
so you're telling me your back five is going to have 4 Liverpool players in there? Is that what you're saying?
100%.
Yeah.
That is not fair.
For me, Timber hasn't done enough. Gabriel is not better than Van Dijk.
No.
Ben White is not better than overall what Trent Alexander-Arnold is.
I agree with that.
So it's if you're going to any of those left backs, so Zinchenko, Tomiyasu, or Andy Robertson has been the better left back out of them all. And that's not even a Liverpool bias thing. Like I quite like what Zinchenko did at Man City. I just, as you say, he is more of a midfielder at a left back role because he doesn't have to defend as much in City than he did at Arsenal. Yeah,
I'll caveat that with those lads. Sorry there, Alonso. I caveat that with your Arsenal lads. It's a young team. This Liverpool team 5-6 years ago was extremely young as well, and it probably in the next 4 or 5 years could be 4 or 5 Arsenal players at the back. But at this moment in time, I'd say in terms of the experience, in terms of quality as well, Robbo's 29 now as well. He's not getting any younger, so. That's another show for another night. But
in the interest of fairness, we'll look back at this at the end. We have to have a 6-5. We have to have a 6-5 either way. It can't be a 7-4. Okay.
Oh, okay.
But back to Tomiyasu, I do favor him like at left back. Though, like you guys were saying, Kevin and John, that I do like Robertson because he like you said, he's older. He's been at Liverpool for a long time now, and like Tomiyasu, nobody really knew about him because he came from Hull. Then before that was Dundee. So Tomiyasu was also an unknown, and he could have went to Tottenham actually, but he chose Arsenal instead. So I think with Tomiyasu, he has a lot of heart, and he also has been hurt as well. So you really haven't seen the best out of him either. So I would also give the go to Robertson only because he's an older and he's also been with Liverpool for a long time.
Well, we'll come back to left back if everyone is okay with that, because I think it can't be 7 Liverpool players and 4 Arsenal players.
Right, it would have been a load of Arsenal players in 2000s. Like, so we all have.
Yeah, it would have been about 10 Arsenal players, 1 Liverpool player with Gerrard in the middle.
Not one player would have got into 2000.
Hey, what, Jack? Right now, after 12 games, we have the same record as you.
Yeah, true.
So
unless we do a Todd Bowley we do a Todd Bowley and do a 4-5-5 or something.
Got to base it on this season, Jack.
Yeah,
we're going to give Mo Salah right wing, no problem. Okay, even though we have a player who's very consistent, but he's yet to reach Mo Salah levels.
One day, I think he certainly will be.
One day. All right, so Mo Salah, Bukayo Saka misses out. We've done midfield already, Jack. Declan Rice, number 6. Szoboszlai, we're moving him to the left 8.
Left centre mid, yeah.
And we're playing Ødegaard right 8.
What a midfield, that.
Right?
Yeah.
Not bad. Partey would have got in if he could be fit, but we can't. Yeah. Some of our players don't even know his name anymore. He
was doing my head in last season with Juve when I was jumping in the shows through the night as well. Like, I wanted just to win that league, but Partey and a couple of players just dropped off a cliff.
Yeah,
massively. We'll have a little bit of chat about that in a minute as well, Jack. Okay, your striker. It's got to be Darwin, right?
Yeah.
What?
Oh,
Yes.
because Darwin's fantastic, outstandingly fantastic. It's just that, if you're a striker, out-and-out striker in comparison, there's nobody that's been better than him this season within the 2 squads. So Jota is probably the next best thing, and he's not an out-and-out striker.
A little bit of physicality up front, Darwin. He's
been outstanding.
He gets a lot of criticism, but I think he's a decent player. He keeps going for you guys.
It's just also so raw anyway. I don't know if you watch as a neutral. Like, I think the hardest thing when we've all watched our forwards or whatnot, it's the most difficult thing in football is getting into that opportunity to get that chance anyway. So as long as your attackers, whether that be Gabriel or your other lads as well, just going forward. But I'd go with Darwin. I'd agree with Kevin.
Yeah. It's just he can play on the left as well. I thought when you said it there, I thought you said you wouldn't go for Darwin, would you? And I was like, So I realized that you said you went for Darwin. So I was like, yeah, I would, 100%.
Who are we going to pop up against that? Gabriel Jesus, which is good on his day, or Eddie Nketiah or Kai Havertz? We have a number 9 by committee at our team, and it's one of those positions that needs to get addressed big time.
You need a world-class striker. I've said
big time.
Getting proper an Henry class level, even that might be an Osimhen. I think he'd do really well for you.
Kevin thought he was going to fill out all 3 forward positions with Liverpool players. Kevin, Martinelli.
Martinelli is probably the only one that would get in there over Diaz. Yeah,
Ray knows I love Martinelli and
Martinelli's great though. Yeah.
Who would you put up against Martinelli? Well, Martinelli's going to be the pick, right?
Luis Diaz would be the next pick, I'd say, on that kind of natural position, really.
Yeah.
Jota's
a weird one, though.
He is, yeah.
And he always loves scoring. Sorry, boys.
If we're playing a 4-2-3-1, Jota's getting in the side. If we're not playing a 4-2-3-1 and it's a 4-3-3, then Martinelli's getting in. Then it's Martinelli, yeah.
Martinelli all day.
Okay. Yeah. All right. That's the team. If we have Tomiyasu in there, it'll be 5 for us and 6 for you, Jack. So Tomiyasu, you need
I can't put Tomiyasu in over.
No, we can't be having Tomiyasu.
I can't do it to Robbo. You know, I
Ray,
couldn't.
you have to do a poll in the chat. We'll let chat decide anyway.
Well, it's
Yeah.
an Arsenal chat. Come on.
Yeah. It's all right. I'll guide the
Surely you're not biased fans in chat, are you?
Of course we are. Kevin's going to the Arsenal Liverpool game. I told him to watch Declan Rice closely. There's some things you're not seeing there about Declan Rice, Kevin.
Oh no, I rate Declan Rice phenomenally. I'm just saying that he hasn't had enough to do at Arsenal that he had to do at West Ham. So we're not seeing how he's converted his game into being a more attacking defensive midfielder, if you get me. You know, we've seen with the goals that the winner goal, but I mean on a constant basis.
Yeah,
I would love to see him turn into because I've seen it at West Ham where he was passing from deep, but now that he can step up small bit further, I want to see him get a little bit more nonchalant with his passing, like a little more like a softer passes, a bit more like softer passing, precision passes in. He adds that to his game, man. He's an all-round midfielder, probably one of the best in the league by a country mile. So he needs that. I would have him, but it's just because he needs to suit Arsenal's style of play. And we know he can defend, we know he can intercept, we know he can do all of that. But once he adds that other parts to his game, while having to go, because he's of the Stevie Gerrard passing kind of nobody's as good as him, but like of the Jordan Henderson, the ability to be able to pass the ball to the wingers, no problem, and a penny. He just needs to learn how to do it.
Kev,
If Fabinho added it to his game when he came to Arsenal or when he came to Liverpool, where do you remember that ball that he played over the top to Mane and the chest against United?
Do you think he can do that? Do you think Declan Rice?
I think he can do it no problem. I just want to see it.
It's because he picked England in it, Kev. That's why.
I forgot about that actually. Yeah, no, whatever. Mind Declan Rice. Move on.
Well,
no, it's not that.
That Irish team is desperate, Kevin.
I know it's terrible.
I'm glad we have.
And I'm actually buying a season ticket soon for.
I'll caveat that, Ray. You know, prior to his move to Arsenal, I was a massive admirer. Spoke to all my West Ham mates, and he's a phenomenal player. And at his age, I think if he went to City, I think he would have complemented their squad. I know they've got Rodri as well, but I think he would have done a tremendous job. But I think it's like most teams, as Kev alluded to, Fabinho, when he come in, didn't always like straight away hit the heights. It's just about implementing them into the philosophy of your team. And once you get used to the players, I think Arsenal currently, as Alonso said, top of the show, when I asked him where Havertz's best position is, I think once you figure out where Havertz is going to play, I think then potentially Rice will settle in a lot more because it's one of them. Getting that right balance in most midfields is so important for me.
Well, we need Mikel Arteta to understand that there's only one person that's going to pick the team, Jack, and that's Mikel Arteta. As Aaron Ramsdale's father knows, only one person picks the team, and we've got to not shoehorn Havertz into midfield anymore and play him in the position that's best for the team, not only for the player but for the team. What do you see with this Manchester City team? We're chasing that team. Both of us are. It's a competitive league now. Top to five, first to five is 3 points across all teams. Aston Villa's in there, Tottenham's in there, we're in there. Jack,
I think.
sorry. Kevin, go ahead. Yeah,
I was going to say one thing about this because it's just a funny point before I do it.
Yeah,
I said it doesn't matter if we chase Manchester City. It's just whoever's going to play better out of the two of us because the title's going to get taken away from him anyway. So it might as well just be us battling for second and third because it's going to go to one of us.
I want to have a little discussion about that a little bit later. Have you seen the ticker tape at the bottom? Football integrity on trial.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, but I see this City team that's very top heavy. Haaland is the main man, and they're getting goals from other areas, but not a lot of goals. You look at Jack Grealish; he's not played well this season so far. Foden's been asked to do Kevin De Bruyne things. He can't do it. He's very limited. Yeah. Still looks gangly. He still looks gangly-legged youngster. Foden does. You got Alvarez in there doing something, but I think Diaz is a liability at the back as well. We saw that against in the Chelsea game. You put a little bit of doubt into that Manchester City team, and they'll do some crazy things at the back. Is there any hope for us? That either one of us chasing them?
There's always hope, lads. There's always hope, and especially until their charges are brought forward. Well, that's the most important thing. If both teams, Liverpool and Arsenal, we are proper football clubs that have been around for 100+ years, a rich history, with all the managers that we've had, the good, the bads. But yeah, I think what the Chelsea game showed, and what it showed everyone was, and even when was it last season, Ray, when you went toe to toe with them? I know everyone joked about Arsenal only doing it for a half, but if Arsenal was switched on in that first 45 minutes, you would have got something out of that game and should have really
at home.
Yeah. It's like, and obviously the capitulation in the second half really, where it didn't really do well. But yeah, mate, and teams can get at City. I think it's just a point that not a lot of teams have got the quality to go toe to toe with them. Like you look at Brentford doing the double over City last year. Like they are the Achilles heel for most sides, even us, me and Kev, when we've come up against them. Like they are physically strong, counter-attacking. They play into the certain teams like Arsenal, counter-attacking heavy. Tottenham, the City going away at Tottenham, they just can't seem to win, no matter who the manager is. Their players they have Tottenham really damaged them. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. The Tottenham City game this season.
Tottenham City game.
And
I think that's coming up pretty soon as well. Because I've been looking at Tottenham. They've had it pretty easy. In the first 10 games, they played 6 of the bottom half. And Ange has had that feel-good factor at Tottenham. They controversially beat Liverpool. They nicked a point against us where we should have scored that third goal instead of conceding the second one. So they've lived at a position that is not theirs, in my opinion, in the top 4, and they're still there. But I think they'll drop off. But it will be interesting when they face Manchester City again, if Ange will be able to overcome the injuries.
I was going to say, right, those injuries could absolutely kill them. In next week, them and who I'm thinking of, Newcastle as well. Both of those teams. That's one thing that both of our clubs know really well over the last 10, 15 years is you need squad depth. Like, don't get me wrong, you can't always get for the likes of Salah and Saka and that. But obviously, you brought in Trossard, tremendous player, by the way. That type of quality. I don't think Newcastle or Tottenham have got the depth really in both of those sides. And I think they will frizzle away. We're only 12 games into the season, but I think once you get past January, it's going to be really difficult.
Saying that, Jack, Manchester City's next 3 games: Liverpool, Spurs, Aston Villa.
Yeah. Wow.
They've Luton Town in between that, but then they're back in the Champions League with the last group.
We could be top by Christmas, Jack.
Oh, that'd be good. We'll see.
Going into that December 23rd game, Kevin. Going into that.
Yeah, I'm there for West Ham before that. I'm bringing the wife and the father-in-law for that one, and then they're flying back. I'm staying, and then all the lads that own the tickets. That's just going to be a hangover central right there.
Staying in mine on the 21st. You better be bringing me a present, Kev.
I'll bring a present, man.
Yeah.
A willy warmer.
I'd love to be over there for Christmas myself as well. You know what I mean? Yeah, but listen, as Kevin said, or Jack said, if Declan Rice had gone to City, I think he would have been a difference maker in terms of a big gap between City and ourselves right now. You know, we probably wouldn't be where we are right now without Declan Rice, to be honest. As Alonso has said, we're an injury. We're 105 million injury away from having a very poor midfield, and something we need to look at, you know, as some of our squad players haven't kicked on so much. I was disappointed in our Carabao Cup defeat. We went to West Ham and didn't compete. And look at a Liverpool, you put a weakened side out and still got a result at Bournemouth, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's where Arsenal need to improve in terms of the squad actually stepping up. I don't believe it's Arteta's fault for picking those players. Those players have to have it in their heart to go out and play. Is that what you think, Jack, Kevin, Alonso?
Yeah, go on.
Right. So, people will be so quick to judge Arteta based on the lineup that he puts out, but he's giving people chances to play and put them in positions to do well. I think that over the past 2 years, especially, he has to assume that the players would think that us fans want to see them do well, and that's every single one of them. And he did put a stronger side out against West Ham. Though I think in the past, what has hurt Arsenal is that they take their younger players and put them in the League Cup games, which is to be fair, they need playing time. However, I think once you're at a big club like Arsenal, your name is expected to be called during these games, especially during the League Cup games.
Yeah.
But there's talent there that he could get off the bench and have and put in play on a regular basis. And so this time, they're expected to win. And it's very disappointing as an Arsenal fan because it's just a performance they're going to give out week in and week out and give not their best performance. So, you got to depend on them, and Arteta has to put him in positions to where he can trust them to play, like Reece Nelson, especially. And he's been knocking on our door for quite a while to have some playing time, but we rarely see him because of that. So there has to be some kind of trust, and also the players to be motivated to knock on the door to take someone's starting position.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Jack or Kevin, do you see is Liverpool? You don't fall foul of that, right? You put a weakened side out. Those players. Do you trust those players to go and compete for you, win in the cup competitions?
Not against Toulouse. No, but we did.
But I think in Europe, Kevin, you're going to have an aspect of home advantage is very much bigger, right? Away in Europe.
It is. We should have done the number on Toulouse as well. The lads just kind of didn't turn up. But since Klopp came into the club, the one thing that we have noticed across the board is that no matter what 11 he puts out, they do the job, that the type of football that Klopp wants them to play. Yeah. And for the longest time they were doing that. It's just that because we had such a drop off in our form from the more senior players last season, especially, and that and a lot more onus put on the young guys, it didn't work out for us. So it's grand. It's good to have a mix of some seniority in there and some younger guys. What we figured out, especially in that Toulouse game, is that when you don't have your James Milners and you don't have your Hendersons to come on, sometimes we'd have Naby Keita fit for these games. When every 3 months he'd be available for one of these games, and across the board we'd have these guys in there. Then the balance kind of goes off. You'd have a Divock Origi to be able to start and score. He knew his role up front without getting too many goals. But we've had a lot of new players mixed with youth this season that have come in and they're just getting their feet. And Toulouse was a lesson learned for them, really. And I think some of them found it as well, even against the Luton game. I kind of blame it on that week, that it was just a bit of naivety on our part, or just a bit of dropping off, because we've had such a kosher kind of start of the season that it's been kind of a lot better than what we expected. But we can't drop off now, and we didn't, and it just goes to show you we learned our lesson and came back against Brentford. So it's there, the premise is there, but they've just been pretty much given a spanking on the bum and just told to wake up when it comes to playing against teams like your cup competitions with Bournemouth. Yeah, we got through it. Yeah. But there's going to be more games like that. We've got West Ham coming up in between Manchester United and Arsenal, and they're going to have to step up for that game, because we know we're going to need our best sides, regardless of how poor United are. We're going to need our best sides against United. We're going to need our best side against Arsenal, And we're going to need the guys from the squad to step up in between that.
And that
So we'll see. We've been good in the past.
And that's maybe a situation where West Ham will take advantage of that with a stronger side, as they did with Arsenal. Now, you got to match that as well. Going away from home in the Champions League or the Europa League, it's difficult to win away from home. You're going to drop a game or two, and we did at Lens. But I think we are doing quite well in Champions League. We should qualify top of the group to be in that knockout stages. Quarterfinal for me would be a decent first go back in the Champions League for Arsenal. I know the Europa League is a competition you'd probably look to go all the way in. And it's the finals in Dublin, so that's an added
which is why I'm getting that season ticket really soon. No, I'm only joking. I have a season ticket anyway. Maybe I should be able to get that. But no, look, it's that way. We lost against Belgrade. Remember that, Jack? In the season we won the Champions League. They battered us away with 2 long range strikes from Madrid. And
the group stages are all about just getting through, you know, to the knockout.
Yeah.
And hopefully you just do get a bit of luck in the draws as well, boys. Because City, by some luck, will probably draw a League 2 side in the Champions League or something. If they could, and if they wish.
Looking at your team, Jack, and Alonso and I know that Arsenal have a gear that we could probably go up to. Do you have a gear? Do you have a gear you could go up to with Liverpool, or can you see yourselves growing and getting better in the league?
Yeah, certainly, mate. I think we're seeing Arsenal over the last couple of years, a young side. This is, me and Kev done countless shows on Liverpool's second phase under Jurgen Klopp. This is his second team. Kev alludes to at the top of the show, and you, Ray, and Alonso, the new breed of Liverpool midfielders. It's a complete new look. And the fact that we've got, 12 games into the new season, haven't got a recognised out-and-out 6. McAllister's doing a job. And we know the frailties, countless videos we've done last year, Ray, me and you, and the lads, about the lack of quality within that Liverpool midfield. And that was what the engine room was. Like, they allowed Mane, Firmino, Salah, Van Dijk, Elliott, all at the back, and Robbo and Trent to bomb on. But it's a more controlling midfield now that Liverpool have got. And there's certainly gears. I'd say if Jota starts firing, can win any game of football if he's on it in the 6-yard box. Núñez, mad as a box of frogs. He's an absolute madman.
Chaos creator.
I love him. We all love him. He's capable, like the Newcastle game, coming on, banging 2 world-class finishes. Lucho, I think, is the Newcastle game.
Newcastle don't like Liverpool at home.
Oh, no.
Last 2 seasons now.
It's Lucho as well. Trent and Robbo. I think if we can get them 2 lads bombing on, whipping balls in and really getting forward, I think we'll be good, mate. Barring a bit of luck along the way. I think for anyone to win trophies or whatnot, City, with all their brilliance over the last couple of years, they've had a lot of luck along the way as well, in all honesty.
Yeah, they have. Listen, I'm going to ask Alonso to describe the Arsenal this season, and then I'm going to go to Kev or Jack to describe who Liverpool are this season. Alonso, who are we this season after 12 games?
Still work in progress. What I think hurts Arsenal is that we don't have a proper finisher up front. You've seen Eddie Nketiah, Jesus, even Trossard being inconsistent, and I think that's just holding Arsenal back from being a top, more of a title contender. I think that's what hurt us last year as well. We couldn't depend on Nketiah. Jesus was injured at the wrong time. Trossard did his best. He was more of a playmaker, giving out assists more so than scoring goals. I think that we depended too much on Saka and Martinelli, and to a point with regard to score goals, and they did a good job of that. But we need more up front, and our midfield is always hurt. There's someone always injured. Though defensively we've gotten better. I think with the rise of Saliba being better, I think having a partner, a duo like Gabriel Mega Legs, he's gotten really better as well. So, our back four has improved a lot, but we still have concerns up front. That's how I say we're a work in progress, because we can't depend on our structures to score goals when we need them to. But on the wings, we're pretty good. I think Saka and Martinelli, though Martinelli hasn't really scored, you've seen him work. His work rate has been pretty awesome, and Trezor has scored some goals when he started. So, I would say we're still a work in progress, but we're getting there.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you, Alonso. Martinelli's had that injury. Last season, he came firing out of the blocks early doors. He's got 15 goals last season. I expect Martinelli to kick on. But Saka is always going to be consistent, even though you think he's not going to produce for us. You see it in the numbers with the goals and the assists. They're not at Mo Salah levels, but they are, a contribution almost every game from him.
With you, right? Oh, sorry, mate. I'd quickly say, if you could get hold of an Ivan Toney, say for about 50, 60 million, I think he
hopefully in January. Hopefully in January that's going to happen. I think we've discovered that maybe Liverpool have areas of the field where they're stronger collectively, and I'll let you guys speak about it. You probably shade us in a lot of departments, but we're not as a prolific goal-scoring unit as we were last season. I think Declan Rice and Mikel Arteta have intentionally caused us to be more secure and in possession. Our fans want us to counterattack and transition. We're not going to be that's not the way we're built. We're built to hold the ball in possession, and we're going to win games by one goal. Most of our games are going to win by a goal or two, but we're not going to blow teams away. And I think Arteta has consciously started to build this team now to where we're not young, brash, and prolific, but more clued in, possession based, and we need to obviously score more goals up front. Kevin, I'll let you go. And then Jack, what's Liverpool this season?
The only way I could describe Liverpool is if I'm comparing them to Unreal Engine 5, if any of you know what that is. Well, it's at the moment it's at 5.3. So I think right now at this moment in time, Liverpool are at 2.2. It's just a formation, so it's meant to be 2.0. So we brought in new players. We're at a stage where we're just short one or two. We're at one or two more. Bear with me, guys. Anybody who's in chat that knows anything about how software is developed, because at a 1 point, it's an alpha, it's a beta, and it's a 1.0. And then the next upgrade to that is a 2.0, and so on and so forth. But in between that, you got a 1.1, 2, 3, 4.
Should have went with the iPhone terminology.
Nah, it's mine iPhone.
iPhone 6.
If I wanted to be limited to software, I want to be limited.
This is we bring in Jack 2.0.
No, he's at 2.2. I think once you meet up, it'll go on. Once we hit 2.5, I think we're back to where we are, and then you can start calling us a 3.0. But eventually, but we're at a stage where we're building onto it. Normally, you see it at 2.0 is the beginning of it. 2.5 is when it's completed. 2.6,
my head has gone west, yeah.
Doesn't matter. Stick with me for a second. Right, so 2.5, and then 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 is your finished product. So we're at this point at the moment where we're nearly there. Number 6 and probably a left back, and I'm happy.
He's just gone fully Cork on me, Jack. So I'm sorry. A fellow Irishman can't understand. Jack, can you translate all of that for me?
Yeah, of course. He said,
that's just it. Everybody just can't keep up. I'm sorry. It's just
he just basically counted. He counted from 2 to 3 in 0.1
infinity.
Stages. Yeah. I think he was trying to describe Liverpool as a stepping stone as well.
Are you still rock and roll football, heavy metal football?
Oh yeah.
Are you relying
we're more solid.
Yeah, I am. The one reason we won the league all those years ago, with all our brilliance, was Van Dijk and Alisson, and we were keeping clean sheets.
You shot out of the blocks as well.
Yeah, we shot out from the blocks, but it was the 2-1 wins, the 1-0 wins. And as you alluded to very before, like that's what it needs to be. Even in we all our teams have bad games, but it's in those bad games where over the 38-game season, you look back on it at the end of May and you go, did we really deserve to be where we are? Like, we all cast our minds back. That's why it's annoying. Me and Kev, we've already got 12 games in, and we're looking at those games going, because could you imagine Liverpool actually miss out on the league by a point or two? And that Tottenham game, like, I'm pretty sure
game. Yeah,
it's
like,
happened to us 4 out of the last 5 seasons, Jack. But these instances have cost us games and titles.
Yeah,
and
so
it's been sickening. But even at that, Jack, you know, Johnny, about your heavy metal football, the one thing that Klopp had at the beginning and that he didn't have for the longest time was lads closing down a football in packs. We have that back again. These players are doing that now. They're closing down in packs and then keeping possession. So once I see that back that's your heavy metal football right there. We lost it for a couple of seasons and just kind of got through games. But now you have Szoboszlai closing down on the right-hand side, along with Trent pushing in beside him. You also have Kanate stepping up, and Joe Gomez is stepping up straight away as well.
That Luton game was a big slap into the face for the majority of that squad.
I think it happens to all teams. You get 1-0 up, and you've played a hell of a lot of games week in, week out, and players. If you have 5 or 6 players just sitting on that lead and not at it, it's going to happen to you. You tend to sit on the lead and you get slapped in the face. For Arteta, I think we need to win a trophy this season. I think it's imperative. Where does Liverpool? Do you need to win a trophy? Do you think you can win a trophy of any kind?
Yeah, I think we do, mate. It's been over the years. Like, you know, every Liverpool fan, we all adore Jurgen Klopp, and there will become a day where Jurgen's not at the club, but we're living in every moment, every single match week going in with such excitement, because we know how far for 30 years Liverpool were off in terms of challenging for a league title. And by challenging for a league title, not just once every 5-6 years, this is a consistent. Obviously, we've had the odd shocking season along the way over the last couple of years, but it's been overall successful. But I think we should win the League Cup. That's been a big word. If we can avoid Newcastle or Chelsea, I think if we get Diev in the semi-finals or whatnot, we should win that. The Europa League, with a top seed in that competition. We know we've mentioned the Toulouse game, but we should be going all the way. And especially if the season was to unravel like it did last year, then it's another way into the Champions League, and you'd always need another way into the Champions League, and that's by winning Europa League. But yeah, I'd say a minimum 2 trophies. Would love the Prem.
Oh, you're getting greedy now. A minimum 2. Okay.
It's the consistency we've been at for the last 7 or 8 years.
Minimum 2, I'd say.
Yeah. It's because of and what we're looking at in the competition. By rightly, if we're looking with our heads at form or the stylization of a team or the teams that are left, City are out of the competition now. You know, Arsenal are out of the competition now. You know, you've all of these other teams that probably could have been bogey teams to us in the past in it. And yeah, Newcastle are doing well in the competition. West Ham are doing well, but that's another stepping stone for us to try and get to get over. You know, and as late on as the season goes for them, the stronger we become and the weaker they tend to become as teams. So because, you know, so that's the kind of way we look at it to say, right, when it comes up to this stage and we're going to be going to the Europa League, we should be there or thereabouts. The League Cup, just going on what the teams that are left and the form, we should be there. But we have to then we have to say to ourselves, fan, right, so we're expecting at least 2 trophies or to be in these 2 finals at least, you know. And once Liverpool get to a final, unless we're playing Real Madrid, it's very, very rare. And even if we dominate that Real Madrid side, it's very, very rare that we lose those finals. Yeah. So it's just a matter of getting there. And that's the only reason why it's not, I mean, for me, it's never on about it being a cocky situation or whatever that. We just know that we know how good we are when it comes to these competitions, and we know the enemy that's ahead of us. And it's not your enemy. This is why we're not saying, oh yeah, the FA Cup, because we're not a part of that yet. We don't know who's going to be involved in it. We don't know how good we're going to be. We're a point behind City at the moment, and we tend to do better in the second half of the season. So if we do that, hopefully we're there or thereabouts. So when we say at least 2 trophies, if you're battling City and you lose out to them again by a point, at least you're comforted by those 2 trophies, is what the kind of Liverpool fans are saying, you know? So
you're not going to cross swords with City in 2 competitions. I get what you're saying. Arsenal need to learn how to get stronger in the second half of the season in the league. Hopefully, the foundation of the last 3 months, we've laid that foundation, but it's going to be new ground that we have to cover. Arteta was slapped with a bringing the game into disrepute because he complained about the Newcastle game, and here we go with the.
It's ridiculous, right? Like managers, football. We all know we get passionate. All of us fans around the world. These referees have got far too much protection for my liking. Like, fair enough if they actually had the backbone. We're speaking about teams getting relegated, teams missing out on Champions League qualification, missing out on league titles. If they can't, they've got all the technology at their disposal, and yet they are still struggling to make decisions. It's not a problem. People complain about the problem with technology. It's the sausages controlling those.
Yeah.
They haven't got a Scooby-Doo.
I'll even jump on that, Jack, with regards that you have to look at what Arteta said himself, and who's semi to blame for all of this is the people that are having good situations one week and not getting on the referee's back. Yeah. And then when it comes to their bad situations, they're at him, and then they just look two-faced. So Arteta looks like when he says about Liverpool saying, "Oh, we just have to deal with what the officials say and get on with it." And then when it happens to him, he has to step up and say it. And so what they should be saying altogether is, yeah, we didn't like that situation, that game. They didn't deserve that. And everybody should be saying it.
He did a couple of days before that decision.
That you got to be careful because that was a quote that was taken out of context.
Was it? It's just what you see straight away. Then well, that's my fault. But straight away they should be saying, every manager should be stepping in and saying it. That's just like the elite.
The tribalism in football is great, and we all love it. But when it comes to we're taking the focus off of the officials, we have to stick together in that situation.
Exactly.
Like the Super League, every football fan done it with the Super League, and it was two of our clubs that were actually in the competition, like wanting to get in there. Like it's disgusting, boys. And it was the Wenger law that was come out yesterday or something.
I don't like that. That offside is ridiculous. Yeah,
ridiculous. Like you'd be literally having attackers goal line, and especially considering both our teams play such a high line as well. We'll be getting done in behind.
That's ridiculous. Arsene Wenger, I don't know where you are on that.
But I said it for years. The lines in the Eredivisie are 4 times thicker than what they are in the Premier League. You just have to make those lines and the offsides a bit thicker, and all of a sudden you've given that slight advantage to the attacker, but you're not taking away from the residency that all of them is not past it. So just make them thicker, and that's it.
It's when they're doing enough to the armpits, boys. Like, what are we doing?
That's stupid. Yeah, that's stupid.
Everton's been slapped with 10 points. I think this is okay because football tribalism is fine in this situation. If it's unfortunate for the fans, and the fans need to hold their club accountable to it. Don't complain to the people who have slapped this 10 points on you. Your club has acted inappropriately, and you're now getting the fine. So blame your club, I would say, if you're an Everton fan.
Yeah, they've had numerous warnings, right? You know me, mate. I've got and Kev, we were speaking about this last night. It was they've had numerous warnings, but yet again, it just goes to show that some of these people in control of all of our clubs in the Premier League, multi-billion companies, and they're just letting. I think Kev alluded to this a couple of nights ago. They should be allowed to spend what they earn. That's what it's there for. If you generate 100 million, you just spend that. Don't go out and spend 200, 300 million, which is what, by the looks of it, Everton tried to just go big, and then it's massively backfired.
And I think that is part of why we did the Raya deal, 3 million down with the option or obligation to pay 27, is because we were probably getting close to financial fair play guidelines. And listen, I'm saying it now, and I'm on record. If my club falls foul of these situations, and we did have a Nicola Pepe huge transfer under a Raul Sanye, we don't know if anything. I'm not saying there's anything there, but all of our clubs have had these big deals, and we could be looking at some down the line where Arsenal's in this situation or Liverpool's in this situation. But we as fans are hostage to the custodians of the clubs, right? And we both have American owners as well. So this old money versus new money, I mean, it sounds very divisive, but we know the clubs we're talking about. We're talking about new money. It's Chelsea and it's Manchester City. What's happened to Everton? Do we have any fate will happen to Chelsea and Man City?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think even 5 of those found guilty in Manchester City season relegated. And depending on the season, they'll also get stripped of titles. The titles will be given across. They'll be sued left, right, and centre. If they get done by more than those 5, is what I'm saying. If there's 115 charges and they can't find out 40, they can't get the evidence on 40 of those, then the rest are going to get them done. I mean, Rangers got done for that.
How long will it take, Kevin?
Well, you look at Everton and it took 2 years, right?
Okay.
No, that's only just for legalities. No, the process can take as long as it wants. Once the legalities are out of the way and Man City have to hand over everything that they can, it will just take 3 to 5 months longer than what it took to find out Everton's one, because we just have to go through the documentation. The problem is getting their hands on all the documentation. That's the only thing that's going to slow them down, with all these lawyers putting in injunctions, putting in this and that. But the thing is, Man City can't do what they did with UEFA and go to the court of arbitration, because the FA and the Premier League don't allow that in their their thing. So that's what opens it up quicker for me.
It's not time barred. The European one was time barred, and we all know what that means. But the matters, there was a payment to Mancini as well. Weirdly, something stupid from an offshore. Or someone give Mancini money. It's all dodgy, boys. And we knew that when Chelsea got taken over all those years ago, there was no legislation or any guidelines put in place prior to Roman Abramovich. And we all knew where that money come from, really.
Have the Premier League, they've opened the door to this, right? The Premier League allowed
it's their own fault,
and now they're trying to backfill or backstop the issues. We have a Newcastle seem to be acting appropriately. They're not. It doesn't look like they're spending beyond their means. So Newcastle are probably very much aware of the repercussions, because I think their model would be further along if they were allowed to use all of their resources in the way the Manchester City have been doing. There will be skepticism from Kevin. I hope you're right, Kevin, that these things will come towards Man City and come towards Chelsea, but there's huge skepticism.
They'll be held accountable by the fans. I can't see anybody else besides, you think of it this way, even if this comes about, City could see themselves being sued by other clubs for up to £2 billion. That's how much that they've money-wise that they've screwed over other clubs. You take it back to the times, even in the FA Cups when they beat Watford in the finals, they got that by means of having the squad that they did. When they won 7 clear League Cups out of nowhere, like Liverpool were miles ahead of everybody else with League Cups, and all of a sudden City come up and they win 7, nearly 3 or 4 of them in a row. It's the same with the City. So this is all because of this process. This didn't happen because City just got good overnight. It happened because City got invested in, and because they pretty much are sports washing and laundering money through their own club. That's exactly what's going on. They're creating all their sponsorship deals are done by companies that are less than 18 months old.
And you've got supposedly 3 people working for them.
But they will have you believe they're the richest club presently right now with over $1 billion in revenue.
The greatest trick the devil pulled is convincing you he doesn't exist.
Kaiser
Soze. And that's just you need to create a bigger image of your beds, and your bigger image of your beds is telling everybody that you're great and you're earning all this money, when people with eyes just look in the stadium and see that it's empty every week. And they're not selling short sales over Manchester United and Liverpool and Arsenal. I can tell you that now. Or Real Madrid or any of that. So they don't even make that kind of money, and Real Madrid have probably the most shirts sold on the planet. So I don't know where they're getting their money from. So yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we all know where they're getting the money from. It just has to be proven now.
Yeah. The whole thing, the whole house of cards will come down in City. It's just a matter of time because Pep Guardiola is on record saying he'll leave, right, Kevin?
Yeah, look, he'll leave before that as well. But look, also it's very inconvenient that the highest earnings ever is in a time where they're being brought up 115 charges. You know, or they just seem to they might just balance each other out for a couple of seasons, or we won't get done for this season, we won't get done for that season. They'll get done.
I want to see the pandemic year numbers, mate. Because if they're making 600 million in a pandemic year or 500, then that'd be ridiculous.
How are they getting the shirts with no deliveries?
Yeah. No one wants to be buying it.
Everybody's buying it online, but there was no companies. Half the companies weren't working. You know, there's a lot of people only when it became necessities, and that was it. Football jerseys weren't necessities at the time. You know, they had to halt, cease process at certain points. They can't hide.
I might have needed a new tea towel to put on the. Might have got a Man City stuff. Don't know.
Maybe
clean dishes.
all of this is very high profile, and the Premier League is on trial. Their integrity is on trial, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
And there's no way. I mean, I think there's an independent commission that is handing down these punishments that Everton have just received. And if that was just one charge that Everton were found guilty of, you got 115 for Man City. And I believe Chelsea have over 2 decades and a half or close to 2 decades of things to be trolled through. You know what I mean? So has new money been good for the game? Probably not.
No.
In my opinion.
No.
TV rights deals, not the ownership of clubs. No.
Why have the media being part of bigging up these teams?
Because they make money.
Yeah, it's so blatantly obvious. I don't know if you watched last year. Me and Kev, like that there was supposedly, I think it was, they've been saying to their presenters to dampen down Sky, supposedly people with the high ups in Sky, telling the presenters to relax a lot more in relation to the criticism of the referees. If that's the case, that's absolutely disgusting. Mate. Obviously, everyone deserves criticism in the job if it's constructive, but when they're making absolute howlers, it's like, and they're all asking ex-Premier League title winning players. They know themselves that the standing and the officiating's on the absolute floor.
Some ex Liverpool. Sorry to call it out, but what's the feeling with Carragher amongst the base? Or no comment. You can say no comment if you want.
Well, no, please say which one.
No, Carragher's a good lad anyway. I think when you are on a punditry panel, you've got to remain as neutral as possible. And there's certainly going to be weekends where not everyone's going to agree with you and everyone's going to disagree with on points as well. But it's one of them. I love Jamie. He's a brutal lad anyway. So
he bites his tongue a lot as well. You can see it on the show. He's like, you know, you see him trying. He's wanting to say something, but he's been kept quiet because of his contract. When you work for a company, they're going to try and keep you quiet, regardless. It'll come to a point where more money will get offered at a different station, and Jamie Carragher will let rip on everybody on that show.
Just look
about something. Yeah,
you lads probably get CBS coverage, don't you?
Yeah,
of the Champions League football. I wish we had that in England, mate.
Mika Richards, Thierry Henry, and Carragher.
That is top level punditry, mate. Yeah. I wish we had that over there. We've got bloody Michael Owen and Owen Hargreaves. Oh, great. There's levels.
You can't win a game without scoring goals.
Oh, jeez.
Michael Owen, 2022.
Anything else?
Mr. Obvious.
Anything else to be said, Alonso, Kev, Jack?
Only for, as you said the word Alonso there. I'm intrigued to see who Xabi Alonso goes to next as a manager. How well he's doing at Bayern. Eventually, I could see him taking on. I don't want to see Klopp go for a long time. You know, I want to see Klopp on a cane before he leaves. You know, but I want to see him like that. Oh yes, you know, well, very erotic voice. But like, you know, I want to see that kind of scenario. But look, eventually he's going to have to pass the buck to somebody Do I want it to be Pep and Linders? Maybe not, because he's like an excitable child next to Klopp. He can do the job when somebody's looking after him. But if he becomes the big man, it's a different story. So I don't know about that. Like, he's really good. You know, he's a good thinker in the football game. He does well, and but you know, Alonso, you need somebody as well with a bit of heart towards the club. And I think Klopp has fallen in love with Liverpool before he was ever at Liverpool. He was at Mainz, they sing "You Never Walk Alone." He was at Dortmund, you sing "You Never Walk Alone." He's been asked for thousands of years that is he coming to Liverpool, you know, for the longest time. And you know, he even came out and said it himself that he'd opportunities to join Manchester United for more money. He had opportunities to go to these places, and he chose Liverpool because he just said it's just the club felt right for him. So it always comes down to who feels right. Rodgers was a stepping stone. Kenny Dalglish came in and filled in the gap and won a trophy. You know, so he won a trophy when he came in. Roy Hodgson, great manager, great person as a football person, but just didn't suit Liverpool at all. Yeah,
he just did not get the City.
No,
Like,
I think the only one bad call that Liverpool ever made management-wise was probably Graham Souness, but I think he knows that himself. I think Roy Evans was great for Liverpool at a point in time, and then it became, you know, too much for what he could develop the team into. Hence Gerard Houllier coming in. I could be here all day talking about ex-managers, but it's just, I think that look, Xabi Alonso eventually will get in there. Will I ever see Steven Gerrard coming in? I don't know. Maybe this thing in Saudi is kind of ruining. Maybe he could come in alongside Alonso or a part of a team with Alonso. I don't know.
I think Aston Villa ruined them a little bit. Steven Gerrard did not do well with Aston Villa.
No, I didn't.
Look at Unai Emery right now, doing really well with Aston Villa. And Alonso, you can probably tell me that, you know, the problem that Unai Emery had at Arsenal was the dressing room and the players, you know, for me.
He didn't really control the atmosphere at the Emirates. He kind of let the players do what they wanted. He didn't allow certain players to just play. He, in my opinion, lost control of the football club. You know, for example, when we played Chelsea, you know, in the Europa League final, and he just was dumbfounded because he didn't really know how to handle the culture. It seemed like he was a rush pick to be a manager. And there was not a lot of excitement when he came in. He had a pedigree at Sevilla, winning all those Europa League trophies.
Yeah.
So it was just a weird pick for me, and never really fit in the Arsenal way. He didn't know he had no idea what Arsenal was about. It seemed like to me he didn't know much English. He just wasn't able to solidify his mark as an Arsenal manager. I think he lost, like I said, lost control of the team by trying to put his mark in the club. I think he rubbed also a lot of fans the wrong way. I don't know, like, it just didn't work out. But you see him being successful at Aston Villa, and you wonder what went wrong with the Arsenal. You know, with the disconnect.
Clearly, the dressing room and the individuals in there. I think Alonso and I and the other panel members that are with me, Arsenal fans, can see, because we've been there 5 or 6 years ago, and now we're better. And we can see those clubs that are struggling, like Man United, maybe Tottenham to an extent. They've been misrun. You know, Chelsea been in the wilderness. And I think Jack and Kev can probably see that as well. When you're looking at your own club that's being run properly, at the executive level, as well as what's going on the field, and you look at other teams, you can see a huge difference, and you can see where a club like Manchester United have gone wrong over the years.
Yeah, it's when I spoke to you, Ray, and Stan and the lads some previous last couple of years, I've always said to you, boys, just stay with Arteta. Because I said to you, stability is the key word in football. Obviously, stability in the right manager, but if you can see, you don't need instant changes. Yeah, but you just have to see
Okay.
glimpses over a period of time. If it's 12 months, if you see a gradual improvement year on year, then stay with it. Because you look at City and Liverpool, there's no surprise that these two teams have been playing as consistent over the last 5 years. Yes, you've spent money, bought the right players, but I love what the lad that you have upstairs. I think he just recently got voted one of the sporting directors of the year or something, didn't he? The lad that runs your club. So it's all, as you said, mate, stability and having the right people in the right areas of your football club. Because look at Man United, boys. We all, from a neutral point of view, we laugh our heads off, but they used to have the best footballing people, like Brian Gill, director of football at United. He was he was the best in the business, but he just got
Steve
rid of them all.
McLaren.
Yeah, like they had people in place, but now Arsenal, Liverpool, City, even the biggest signing for City is everyone talks about Pep, but it's the lad that they signed years ago from Barcelona, the sporting director or the man that was
Is that Sibazaretta?
uh,
Whatever I got his name is.
Taki Ixiara or something, some mad Spanish name.
Ixiara.
Yeah. But it's just that,
people
boys.
behind the scenes,
Yeah, but transfers are a big thing as well, boys.
Right, Brighton are the same as that as well. Though. Brighton had stability with Potter there for a long time. You had what's his name? What's that guy's name? We were just talking about Roy Hodgson with Crystal Palace. When he's there for a couple of seasons, 2 or 3 seasons, you see the improvements happening in the team, regardless of the money. No, Jack will allude to. I'll let you get back to transfers there, Jack. I was just saying that these clubs as well, you could see the stability in them coming up because of this. But also, even with what's his name, I also say that in Europe, he's brilliant. The Aston Villa manager, he's brilliant in Europe.
Unai
Emery. Also, there's no oxygen in this room. Names get to me, and but he's brilliant at that. But he gets this 6-month syndrome with the teams that he's done. So he did brilliantly for Arsenal for the first 6 months. Then after that, they started dropping off, having inconsistent things. It's the same with Aston Villa now. He's done really well with Aston Villa in those first 6 months and coming in. And now he's gotten results like getting hammered at Newcastle, then doing really well for the next couple of games, then getting hammered at Liverpool, then doing really well for the next couple of games. And that inconsistency is starting to step in. So unless he gets over that and develops the team upwards, Aston Villa will be battling in the same 6 to 8 positions all the time. So there. But anyway, Jack, you go back to your transfers.
Yeah, it's a quick one. In terms of transfers as well. I remember watching Arsenal's with the Shamaks, the Bentners. The list is endless, and in terms of poor quality, we had it with the Dross that was at us at that time as well. Like poor mismanagement from your strategic point of view, but both clubs now over the last 5-6 year periods about promoting the youth and bringing them through, but certainly getting the right players that fit the manager's philosophy as well. Because it's all well and good having Jurgen Klopp, but if you don't get his style of player that he wants to implement his philosophy, I think that's it doesn't happen without them anyway. So
I'm sick of City and Chelsea at this stage. I just want to see good old-fashioned battles between Liverpool, Arsenal, United,
back to those
Spurs,
days.
Everton, even bring them all on, man. Just bring on the integrity of football. Really,
I've been calling for more competition at the top, and now we see 5 teams with, albeit after 12 games, 3 points between them. So I welcome Liverpool coming back after the season that you had off, understandably, because you went for 4 trophies the previous season. Okay, Liverpool's back. Hopefully, you can give City a really good game next weekend. It's going to be tough at the Etihad. I recognize that. If it was Anfield, I'd feel a little more confident about it. Hopefully, you can take some points off City. And that's what it's all about. Bring more teams into the fold so we don't have 90-point seasons and may the best team win at the end of the day. And hopefully, you can do well in the Carabao Cup. You beat West Ham and the Europa League as well and get to that final in Dublin. The Aviva.
That'll be one party, that I'll tell you.
For Arsenal, Alonso and I, we'll carry on for the rest of the season. Hopefully, we can perfect that aspect of getting stronger in the second half of the season and lasting past March and April. Those are the really Big months of the season: March, April, May. And if you look at our fixture list, we have a very difficult run in with the last 10 games. 4 of them away from home to big teams. So I can see you're looking at that right now, Kev.
Yeah.
We have,
Yeah.
so we need to make hay, as we say in Ireland, make hay while the sun is shining. We say that in Ireland. You might say it in other parts as well. But anything else, Alonso? We'll get out of here. What have you been watching while you're on the pod, or is there score lines going in, Alonso?
Texans won. Detroit has the ball with 26 seconds left. And the mighty Eagles play tomorrow night. And that's the only game I care about. So, right, I just want to touch base on either Man City or Chelsea, hopefully getting points deducted or a harsh fine or penalty, because I think back, and I mentioned this on, I think, a Ray show on Thursday night. How cool would it be if either Chelsea or City get a Rangers type of penalty where they get sent down to the fourth division? That would be, I think, every football fan's dream. And a penalty like that will set City back years. So, but we all know that's gonna be unrealistic because the FA don't have enough balls to do so. So it's interesting to see how that plays out. Like you said, Kevin, and maybe Jack, how it would be good to see Arsenal and Liverpool battle out every year for the title, right? But we unfortunately don't have that dream. Because those are the days, right? Whenever United were in there too, and before City got bought out by Abramovich, and City were bought by the Saudi Arabians, that they had no history. They were always fighting regulation, right?
Yeah.
So to me, there's no history with that. And then all you see is these plastic fans now talk about having the Warriors jersey or having Hazard's jersey. Here in the States, at least, it's kind of pitiful because they didn't know what classic football was back in the 80s and 90s and even 2000s, the early 2000s. So, you appreciate more what Arsenal, Liverpool, and United have done, though you can't stand United, right? But, you take those for granted, right? Or Tottenham are below the totem pole, but... Yeah, I mean, I think money has ruined football. And so it's a shame that it's gotten to that point, and it's a shame that you see now like Saudis and in case in point Chelsea with Abramovich, that they have no idea what football was. They just saw it as a profit, and it's a shame that it got to that point. But I hope they did get a harsh punishment.
Yeah, I think it's incumbent on the Premier League and the FA to clean out house, get their house in order, and they'll let these things happen.
If found guilty, lads, they should be kicked out of the entire league, straight like Rangers were, and make them start all over again.
Punishment should fit the crime, Jack.
And then give them a cap as well. Don't let them spend anywhere more than 5 million a year or something. Don't let them crawl back out of their hole that they've come back from. And the Sound City fans will be, as we said a couple of nights ago, Kevin.
It's sorry for the old heads.
Like the main road days, like they were in like League One, League Two as well, so they'll be there. But as obviously Alonso said, the fans that have just appeared out of the last 10 years, that probably
they make the lads that think that football started in 1992 look like they're smart. That's where these guys have come from. So if they can make the guys that think the football started in 1982 look smart, then you're literally scraping the bottom of the barrel for fan base.
Yeah, I mean, to some of us older heads, the Man City and Chelsea being there just doesn't look right. They're not the institutional teams of yesteryear, But Well, listen, we'll leave it there. Huge thank you to Kev for joining me, first of all.
Yes,
Jack left me in the lurch for a long time.
Sorry, lad. Blame the Manchester traffic. Like, I was listening to the pod on the way back.
You were
anyway.
coming from Manchester?
Yeah, I'm surprised they come out of it with a car, like so. But yeah, that's too bad.
Lonzo, thanks for joining as well. Really appreciate it. It was good crack getting to know Kev as well and have a little bit of a conversation. So
yeah, very fun, very cool.
May not be the last time you're on the circle, Kev.
Oh yeah, give me a shout anytime, lads. I come on. I'm always available. You know, as you know, I told you my situation at the start. I just look after my kids most of the day. I gig on the weekends and I do my podcast, so 100%. I'm always free most of the week to do
like
shows.
You said, there's worse things you can be doing, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Try supporting Everton. That's one.
Yeah.
That's funny.
All right, we're out of here. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Jack, again, Kev, and Alonso, of course. Take care, everyone.